Hello there, and welcome to Cosmic Sleep Stories. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you've wondered about the distant future, about how the universe will end, if it ends at all. Or perhaps you're simply seeking a quiet place to rest your thoughts. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be. You can rest now. Tonight, you have nothing to do but let go. Let your breathing slow, steady as the expansion of the universe itself. Let your body relax, settling into comfort like matter settling into its final equilibrium state. Let your mind drift forward through time, past tomorrow, past next year, past the end of human civilization, past the death of the sun, past the end of all stars, into the deep future where the universe continues its journey toward whatever ending awaits. Over the next 2 hours, we'll explore together 120 gentle truths about how the universe might end. Not with fear or dread, but with wonder at the immense timescales involved, at the beauty of cosmic processes, at the strange comfort of knowing that even the universe itself has a story with a beginning, a middle, and perhaps an ending. We'll visit the heat death, where the universe slowly runs down like a clock winding to a stop, everything becoming cold and dark and still. We'll explore the Big Rip, where the expansion of space accelerates until it tears apart galaxies, stars, planets, atoms, and even space-time itself. We'll contemplate the Big Crunch, where gravity eventually wins and everything collapses back to a single point. And we'll consider other possibilities, stranger scenarios that physicists have proposed. Some facts will fascinate you. Others will simply wash over you like waves of cosmic time, leaving only soft impressions as you drift towards sleep. And that's perfectly fine. There's no need to remember every detail, no test tomorrow. Just let yourself be carried by the vast sweep of time, by the slow, inevitable processes that will unfold over timescales so long they make human history look like a single heartbeat. These endings are so far in the future that they're almost comforting in their distance. Trillions of years. Google years. Numbers so large they lose meaning, becoming more like infinity than anything you can grasp. By the time any of these endings arrive, if they arrive, everything we know will have been transformed beyond recognition countless times. And before we begin our journey through deep time, if these quiet cosmic explorations help you unwind at the end of your day, consider subscribing to Cosmic Sleep Stories. It helps others find this peaceful corner of eternity, one sleepy soul at a time. Now, close your eyes if you'd like. Breathe slowly, feeling yourself anchored to this present moment even as your mind prepares to wander through billions and trillions of years. And let's begin our journey into the far future, into the gentle, inevitable unfolding of cosmic destiny. Hashtag part 1. The deep future begins. Fact 1 *: the universe is currently 13.8 billion years old. This seems ancient, but it's actually quite young compared to how long the universe will exist. We're living in what cosmologists call the stelliferous era, the age of stars, and this era has only just begun. Fact 2 * stars will continue forming for approximately 100 trillion years. That's about 7,000 times longer than the current age of the universe. We're not living at the end of cosmic history, but near the very beginning, in the first tiny fraction of the universe's lifespan. Fact 3 * our sun, which seems permanent and eternal, will shine for about 10 billion years total. It's currently about 4.6 billion years old, roughly halfway through its life. In about 5 billion years, it will begin to die, swelling into a red giant. Fact 4 * when the sun becomes a red giant, it will expand outward, possibly engulfing Mercury and Venus, and certainly making Earth uninhabitable. But this process will unfold over millions of years, a slow transformation, not a sudden catastrophe. Fact 5 * after its red giant phase, the sun will shed its outer layers and become a white dwarf, a dense, hot remnant about the size of Earth, but containing most of the sun's original mass. This white dwarf will glow with residual heat for trillions of years. Fact 6 * eventually, the sun's white dwarf remnant will cool completely, becoming what's called a black dwarf, a dark, cold cinder floating through space. This will take longer than the current age of the universe. No black dwarfs exist yet because the universe isn't old enough. Fact 7 * all stars, regardless of their size, will eventually die. Massive stars explode as supernovas. Medium stars like our Sun become white dwarfs. The smallest stars, red dwarfs, will burn for trillions of years before finally fading away. Fact 8 asterisk the last stars will probably be tiny red dwarfs, stars so small and cool they burn their hydrogen fuel incredibly slowly. These final stars will shine dimly until about 100 trillion years in the future, marking the end of the stelliferous era. Fact 9 asterisk after the last star dies, the universe will enter what's called the degenerate era, dominated by stellar remnants, white dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes. No new light will be generated. The universe will be dark, lit only by the fading glow of dead stars. Fact 10 asterisk even in the degenerate era, things will still happen, just very slowly. White dwarfs will occasionally collide, creating brief flashes of light. Black holes will slowly grow by absorbing stray matter. The universe won't be completely dead, just very quiet, very dark, very cold. As you rest now, let yourself feel the vastness of these timescales. 5 billion years until the sun dies. 100 trillion years until the last stars fade. These numbers are so large they become abstract, almost meaningless. And yet they're real, measured in the same seconds and minutes and years you count in your daily life, just multiplied beyond comprehension. Let that vastness be comforting. Your worries, your concerns, the things keeping you awake tonight, all of it is so temporary, so brief, so fleeting against the backdrop of cosmic time. The universe will continue for trillions upon trillions of years after you're gone, after everyone you know is gone, after the Earth itself is gone, slowly unfolding its story according to the laws of physics. You don't need to witness that story. You don't need to survive until the end. You're here now, in this brief moment, this tiny slice of cosmic time, and that's enough. Let yourself relax into the smallness of your moment, the shortness of your lifespan, knowing that you're part of something vast and ongoing, even if your individual participation is brief. Breathe slowly. Feel your body, warm and alive, temporary and precious, and let yourself drift deeper into rest, carried by the slow currents of cosmic time. Hashtag part 2. The heat death, a slow fade to cold. Fact 11 asterisk the most likely fate of the universe, according to current observations, is what physicists call the heat death. This is a gradual running down, a slow fade to cold and darkness, as the universe expands forever and all usable energy is exhausted. Fact 12 asterisk the heat death isn't a sudden event. It's a process that unfolds over googles of years, numbers so large they're written as 10 followed by 100 zeros. The universe doesn't end in a moment, but slowly approaches a state of maximum entropy. Fact 13 asterisk entropy is a measure of disorder, of randomness, of energy that can no longer do useful work. The second law of thermodynamics says entropy always increases in closed systems. The universe is a closed system, and it's been increasing in entropy since the Big Bang. Fact 14 asterisk in the far future, all temperature differences will equalize. Hot things cool down. Cold things warm up. Eventually, everything reaches the same temperature, just a tiny fraction above absolute zero. When there are no temperature differences, no energy can flow, and nothing can happen. Fact 15 asterisk this final temperature is called the cosmic microwave background temperature. Currently, it's about 2.7 Kelvin, just 3 degrees above absolute zero. As the universe expands, this temperature will continue to drop, approaching but never quite reaching absolute zero. Fact 16 asterisk in the heat death scenario, the universe expands forever. Galaxies move farther and farther apart. Eventually, each galaxy becomes isolated, unable to see any other galaxies because they've moved beyond the cosmic horizon. Fact 17 asterisk the expansion of the universe is accelerating, driven by something called dark energy. This mysterious force pushes space itself apart, and it seems to be getting stronger as the universe ages. Dark energy will ultimately determine the universe's fate. Fact 18 asterisk dark energy makes up about 68% of the total energy content of the universe. We don't know what it is, but we can measure its effects. It's the reason distant galaxies are accelerating away from us, the reason the expansion is speeding up rather than slowing down. Fact 19 asterisk, if dark energy remains constant, the expansion will continue forever, and the heat death becomes inevitable. The universe will grow larger and larger, colder and colder, emptier and emptier, forever. Fact 20 asterisk, imagine the universe 1 trillion years from now. Most stars have died. Galaxies are farther apart. The sky is darker. But things are still happening. Occasional supernovas from the last massive stars, white dwarfs slowly cooling, black holes slowly growing. Fact 21 asterisk, at 100 trillion years, the stelliferous era ends. The last star flickers out. The universe enters the degenerate era, dominated by stellar remnants. Darkness becomes total, broken only by occasional flashes when objects collide. Fact 22 asterisk, the degenerate era lasts an incredibly long time, perhaps 10 to the power of 40 years. During this era, stellar remnants slowly lose heat, radiating their remaining energy into space until they're as cold as the background universe. Fact 23 asterisk, even in the dark, cold degenerate era, gravity still operates. Occasionally, white dwarfs will collide, creating supernovas that briefly illuminate the darkness. These collisions become rarer as the universe expands and objects spread farther apart. Fact 24 asterisk, black holes become the most important objects in the degenerate era. They grow slowly by absorbing stray matter and occasional stellar remnants. Given enough time, black holes could potentially consume everything in their vicinity. Fact 25 asterisk, but black holes don't last forever. Stephen Hawking discovered that black holes emit radiation through quantum effects at their event horizons. This Hawking radiation is incredibly weak, but given enough time, it will cause black holes to evaporate completely. Fact 26 asterisk, a black hole with the mass of the Sun would take about 10 to the power of 67 years to evaporate through Hawking radiation. A supermassive black hole like the one at the center of the Milky Way would take about 10 to the power of 100 years. These timescales are incomprehensibly long. Fact 27 asterisk, the era of black hole evaporation is called the black hole era. During this time, black holes are the last massive objects in the universe, slowly radiating away their mass and energy until they disappear in final bursts of gamma rays. Fact 28 asterisk, after the last black hole evaporates, the universe enters the dark era. This is the final stage, where the universe contains only diffuse particles, photons, electrons, positrons, neutrinos, all spread incredibly thin across expanding space. Fact 29 asterisk, in the dark era, the average distance between particles becomes astronomical. You might have to travel light years, then millions of light years, then billions of light years to find the next particle. The universe approaches complete emptiness. Fact 30 asterisk, even in the dark era, the universe continues to expand. Dark energy keeps pushing space apart. The density of the universe approaches zero, the temperature approaches absolute zero, but neither ever quite reaches their final values. The universe asymptotically approaches a state of perfect emptiness and coldness. As you drift now, imagine this slow fade, this gradual cooling, this gentle approach to stillness. There's something peaceful about it, isn't there? The universe doesn't end in violence or catastrophe, but simply runs down, like a music box winding to a stop, the melody slowing, the notes becoming softer and farther apart until finally, silence. The heat death isn't really death in any violent sense. It's more like sleep, like the universe itself settling into rest after trillions upon trillions of years of activity. All the energy that drove galaxies and stars and planets and life finally diffuses, spreads out, becomes too thin to create anything new. Everything reaches equilibrium. Everything becomes still. Let that stillness enter you now. Let your own internal processes slow down, approaching your own equilibrium, your own state of rest. You're not facing heat death, of course. You'll wake in the morning, refreshed and restored. But right now, you can let yourself approach stillness, let your thoughts slow down, let your breathing become soft and quiet, let your body settle completely into rest. The universe will continue its slow fade for googles of years. But you only need to rest for a few hours. And in those hours, you can experience your own small version of cosmic stillness, your own temporary equilibrium, your own peaceful approach to the quiet darkness of sleep. Hashtag part 3, the Big Rip, when expansion wins. Fact 31 asterisk, there's another possibility, stranger and more violent than the heat death. If dark energy isn't constant but instead grows stronger over time, the expansion of the universe could accelerate without limit, eventually tearing apart galaxies, stars, planets, atoms, and even spacetime itself. This is called the Big Rip. Fact 32 asterisk, the Big Rip would occur much sooner than the heat death, possibly in 20 to 200 billion years, depending on how quickly dark energy strengthens. This is still an incomprehensibly long time, about 1.5 to 15 times the current age of the universe. Fact 33 asterisk, currently, dark energy's effect is only noticeable at very large scales, between galaxy clusters. It doesn't affect the structure of galaxies, solar systems, or atoms because gravity and electromagnetic forces are much stronger at smaller scales. Fact 34 asterisk, but if dark energy grows stronger, it will eventually overcome these forces. First, it will tear apart galaxy clusters. Then galaxies themselves will be ripped apart. Then solar systems. Then planets. Then atoms. Then atomic nuclei. Then spacetime itself. Fact 35 asterisk, about 200 million years before the Big Rip, galaxy clusters would begin to disperse. Galaxies that are currently held together by gravity would start drifting apart as dark energy overcomes gravitational attraction. Fact 36 asterisk, about 60 million years before the Big Rip, individual galaxies would be torn apart. Stars would be flung away from galactic centers, dispersing into intergalactic space. The beautiful spiral structures we see today would be stretched and shredded. Fact 37 asterisk, about 3 months before the Big Rip, solar systems would be torn apart. Planets would be pulled away from their stars. Moons would be pulled away from planets. Everything that's currently held together by gravity would be separated. Fact 38 asterisk, about 30 minutes before the Big Rip, planets and stars themselves would be torn apart. The forces holding their atoms together would be overcome by the expansion of space. Matter would be shredded into individual atoms, then individual particles. Fact 39 asterisk, in the final fractions of a second before the Big Rip, atoms themselves would be torn apart. Electrons would be ripped away from nuclei. Then nuclei would be torn apart into individual protons and neutrons. Then even protons and neutrons would be shredded into quarks. Fact 40 asterisk, at the final instant of the Big Rip, spacetime itself would be torn apart. The fabric of reality would be shredded. And then, we don't know. Our physics breaks down at this point. The laws that govern the universe would cease to operate, or would operate in ways we can't predict. Fact 41 asterisk, the Big Rip is less certain than the heat death. It depends on the nature of dark energy, which we don't fully understand. Current observations suggest dark energy is constant or nearly constant, which means the heat death is more likely than the Big Rip. Fact 42 asterisk, but the possibility exists, and some physicists find it fascinating. The Big Rip would be the ultimate in creative destruction, taking apart everything that exists and leaving. What? A new universe born from the torn fabric of spacetime? Or absolute nothingness? We can only speculate. Fact 43 asterisk, if the Big Rip occurs, it would happen so far in the future that nothing we know would exist anymore. Earth would be long gone, consumed by the dying sun billions of years earlier. Humanity, if it still exists in any form, would have moved to other star systems, possibly other galaxies. Fact 44 asterisk, any civilization that managed to survive until the Big Rip would face an unstoppable catastrophe. No technology could resist the tearing apart of spacetime itself. Advanced civilizations might have warning, might see it coming for millions of years, but would be powerless to prevent it. Fact 45 asterisk, there's something almost poetic about the Big Rip. The universe began with rapid expansion during the Big Bang. It would end with even more rapid expansion, space tearing itself apart. Beginning and ending would mirror each other, creation and destruction following similar patterns. Fact 46 asterisk, in some versions of the Big Rip scenario, the tearing apart of spacetime could create quantum fluctuations that seed new universes. The end of our universe might be the beginning of countless others, a cosmic cycle of destruction and creation. Fact 47 asterisk, or perhaps the Big Rip wouldn't destroy information, just scramble it. The fundamental quantum information that makes up our universe might persist in some form, rearranging into new patterns after the rip, creating new physics, new laws, new possibilities. Fact 48 asterisk. These are speculations, of course. We don't know what happens when spacetime tears. We can barely imagine it. Our understanding of physics is based on a stable spacetime background, and when that background itself is destroyed, all our equations stop working. Fact 49 asterisk. Despite its violence, the Big Rip is still far enough in the future to be almost abstract. 20 billion years minimum. More likely 100 billion years or more. By that time, if humans or their descendants still exist, they'll have evolved beyond anything we'd recognize, developed technologies we can't imagine, perhaps found ways to influence the fundamental forces of the universe. Fact 50 asterisk. For now, the Big Rip remains a theoretical possibility, studied by cosmologists working out the mathematics, running simulations, trying to understand the full range of ways the universe might end. It's a reminder that the future is not completely determined, that multiple possibilities exist, and we won't know which is correct until we have better measurements of dark energy's behavior. As you rest now, let the impossibility of these timescales wash over you. 20 billion years. 100 billion years. These numbers are so large they cease to feel real. They become like infinity, like forever, like a time so distant it might as well not exist at all. And in a sense, for you, it doesn't exist. You won't be here in 20 billion years. Nothing you know will be here. The concerns that occupy your mind tonight, the worries that keep you awake, all of it will be forgotten long before the universe faces any of these catastrophic endings. Let that perspective bring peace. Your problems are temporary. Your life is brief. And that's okay. You don't need to last until the end of the universe. You just need to rest tonight, to wake tomorrow, to continue your small journey through your brief moment of time. The universe will handle its own ending, whatever form that takes. You can let go of any responsibility for cosmic fate. Your job right now is simpler. Breathe, relax, and let sleep come when it's ready. Hashtag part 4. The Big Crunch, Gravity's Return. Fact 51 asterisk. There's a third possibility, older and in some ways simpler than the others. If dark energy weakens or reverses, if gravity eventually overcomes the expansion, the universe could stop expanding and begin to contract. This is called the Big Crunch. Fact 52 asterisk. The Big Crunch is less likely than the heat death based on current observations, but it remains possible. If dark energy isn't permanent, if it's a temporary phenomenon, gravity could eventually win and pull everything back together. Fact 53 asterisk. In the Big Crunch scenario, the universe would reach a maximum size, perhaps hundreds of billions of years from now, and then begin to shrink. Galaxies that are currently moving apart would stop, pause, and begin moving back together. Fact 54 asterisk. The contraction would start slowly, so slowly that for billions of years, no one would notice any difference. But gradually, the rate of contraction would increase as galaxies drew closer and their gravitational pulls on each other strengthened. Fact 55 asterisk. As the universe contracted, space itself would shrink. The distance between galaxies would decrease. The cosmic microwave background temperature would increase as the universe became denser and hotter, reversing the cooling that's been happening since the Big Bang. Fact 56 asterisk. Eventually, galaxies would begin to collide and merge. The night sky would grow brighter as more and more galaxies came close enough to be visible. Where we currently see mostly darkness between stars, future beings would see countless galaxies filling the sky. Fact 57 asterisk. About 100 million years before the final crunch, galaxies would be packed so close together that they'd start to merge into supergalaxies. The distinctions between individual galaxies would blur as their stars intermixed. Fact 58 asterisk. About 10 million years before the end, the cosmic microwave background would become hot enough to be visible to human eyes. The sky would glow red, then orange, then yellow, as the universe heated up, reversing its 13.8 billion year cooling trend. Fact 59 asterisk. About 100,000 years before the end, the temperature would exceed the surface temperature of stars. All planets would be vaporized. Any remaining life would have to find shelter in the cores of planets or in artificially cooled environments. Natural life as we know it would become impossible. Fact 60 asterisk in the final years, stars themselves would begin to evaporate, their outer layers stripped away by the intense heat of the collapsing universe. The distinction between stars and the surrounding space would blur as everything merged into an increasingly hot, dense plasma. Fact 61 asterisk in the final moments before the Big Crunch, all matter would collapse into a singularity, a point of infinite density and temperature. The laws of physics as we know them would break down, just as they do at the singularity of a black hole. Fact 62 asterisk time itself would end at the Big Crunch. There would be no after, because time is a property of the universe, and if the universe ends, time ends with it. The concept of before and after would cease to have meaning. Fact 63 asterisk, or perhaps not. Some theories suggest the Big Crunch might be followed by a big bounce, a new Big Bang emerging from the collapsed singularity. The universe would be destroyed but immediately reborn, starting a new cycle. Fact 64 asterisk in the Big Bounce scenario. The universe would be cyclic, endlessly expanding and contracting, each cycle lasting trillions of years, possibly an infinite number of cycles extending into the past and future. Fact 65 asterisk if the universe is cyclic, the Big Bang that started our universe might have been the big bounce from a previous universe's Big Crunch. The matter and energy in our universe might be recycled from previous cycles, endlessly reorganizing into new patterns. Fact 66 asterisk, but there are problems with cyclic models. Entropy increases with each cycle. After many cycles, the universe would become too disordered to produce complex structures like galaxies and stars. Unless there's some mechanism to reset entropy at each bounce, cyclic models eventually run into the same heat-death problem. Fact 67 asterisk another issue. Current observations show the universe's expansion is accelerating, not slowing down. For the Big Crunch to occur, this acceleration would have to stop and reverse, which seems unlikely based on what we know about dark energy. Fact 68 asterisk, so the Big Crunch remains a theoretical possibility, less likely than the heat death, but not completely ruled out. If our understanding of dark energy is wrong, if it weakens or reverses in the future, the Big Crunch could still be the universe's fate. Fact 69 asterisk, there's something aesthetically pleasing about the Big Crunch. The universe would end the way it began, returning to a singularity, completing a cycle from simple to complex, and back to simple again. Birth and death would mirror each other, a cosmic symmetry. Fact 70 asterisk in the Big Crunch scenario, the far future would look like the distant past, but in reverse. Instead of galaxies forming from gas clouds, they'd merge and disperse. Instead of stars being born, they'd be destroyed. Instead of planets cooling, they'd heat up. Time's arrow would reverse, in a sense, with increasing temperature and density, replacing the expansion and cooling we currently observe. As you drift deeper now, think about cycles, about beginnings and endings that mirror each other. Your own life follows cycles. Waking and sleeping, activity and rest, building up and breaking down. Each day is a small universe with its own beginning, middle, and end. And right now, you're approaching the end of your daily cycle, the closing down of consciousness, the temporary collapse of your waking self into the simplified state of sleep. This isn't a Big Crunch, but it has similar qualities. Complexity giving way to simplicity, activity giving way to stillness, the busy patterns of waking thought collapsing into the quiet darkness of sleep. And tomorrow, you'll experience your own big bounce, waking up, expanding back into consciousness, starting a new cycle. These small cycles continue throughout your life, daily rhythms that echo the larger cosmic rhythms we've been exploring. Let yourself embrace this ending, this nightly collapse of consciousness. It's not something to fear or resist, but something natural, necessary, the completion of a cycle that began this morning when you woke. Everything that has a beginning has an ending. Every expansion requires a contraction. Every waking requires a sleeping. Surrender to the cycle. Let yourself contract into sleep, into the simple, quiet state where complexity dissolves and only basic processes remain. And trust that morning will bring your own personal big bounce, your return to consciousness, your expansion back into the full pattern of yourself. For now, Though, let the crunch continue. Let consciousness contract. Let thought simplify. Let awareness narrow and dim until there's only the soft, warm darkness of deep sleep. Hashtag part 5. Strange endings and infinite possibilities. Fact 71 asterisk beyond the three main scenarios, heat death, big rip, and big crunch. Physicists have proposed other, stranger ways the universe might end. These are more speculative, but they're based on serious physics and reveal the full range of cosmic possibilities. Fact 72 asterisk one possibility is vacuum decay. The idea is that the universe exists in a false vacuum, a metastable state that could suddenly transition to a lower energy, true vacuum. If this happens, a bubble of true vacuum would form somewhere and expand at the speed of light, destroying everything in its path. Fact 73 asterisk inside the bubble of true vacuum, the laws of physics would be different. Atoms would be unstable. Chemistry, as we know it, wouldn't work. Any structure built from normal matter would be destroyed instantly as the bubble wall passed through. Fact 74 asterisk the terrifying thing about vacuum decay is that it could happen anywhere, anytime, without warning. There might be a bubble expanding toward us right now from billions of light years away, and we'd have no way to detect it until it arrived, traveling at the speed of light. Fact 75 asterisk the comforting thing is that vacuum decay is probably very unlikely. The universe has existed for 13.8 billion years without it happening, which suggests our vacuum is probably stable or at least very long-lived. Most physicists think we're safe from vacuum decay. Fact 76 asterisk another strange possibility. The universe could be destroyed by a phase transition, similar to how water turns to ice. If the Higgs field that gives particles their mass were to change to a different configuration, all particles would suddenly have different masses, and all the structures in the universe would be destroyed. Fact 77 asterisk there's also the possibility of being consumed by a neighboring universe. If we live in a multiverse, if our universe is one of many, another universe could collide with ours, merging the two and creating a new universe with different properties. Fact 78 asterisk or perhaps advanced civilizations could destroy the universe, either accidentally or intentionally. Some physicists have speculated that sufficiently advanced technology might be able to manipulate vacuum energy or space-time in ways that could trigger catastrophic events. Fact 79 asterisk, but these scenarios are highly speculative. We have no evidence that vacuum decay is likely, that phase transitions are imminent, that other universes exist and can collide with ours, or that civilizations can develop technologies that threaten the entire universe. Fact 80 asterisk most likely, the universe will end in one of the three main ways we've discussed: heat death, big rip, or big crunch. And of these, heat death is by far the most probable based on current observations. Fact 81 asterisk let's talk about timescales again, because they're important for understanding how distant these endings really are. The universe is currently 13.8 billion years old. The sun will die in 5 billion years. The last stars will die in 100 trillion years. Fact 82 asterisk 100 trillion years is 100 trillion years. It's about 7,000 times the current age of the universe. If the universe's current age were compressed into 1 year, the last stars would die in the year 700. Fact 83 asterisk, but 100 trillion years is nothing compared to the timescales of the final heat death. Black holes will evaporate over 10 to the power of 100 years. That's 1 followed by 100 zeros, a number called a googol, far, far larger than 100 trillion. Fact 84 asterisk to put a googol in perspective, there are about 10 to the power of 80 atoms in the observable universe. A googol is 10 to the power of 20 times larger than that. It's a number so big that if you tried to count to it, going through every atom in the universe millions of times, you still wouldn't get close. Fact 85 asterisk, and even a googol is tiny compared to some of the timescales involved in the heat death. The final approach to equilibrium could take 10 to the power of 120 years, a number so large we don't even have a name for it, written as 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 120. Fact 86 asterisk at these timescales, time itself becomes almost meaningless. What does 10 to the power of 120 years mean? How do you conceive of such a span? It's longer than infinity seems from a human perspective, longer than the mind can grasp. Fact 87 asterisk, and yet, if the universe lasts that long, if it slowly approaches heat death over unimaginable eons, all that time will actually pass, second by second, minute by minute, exactly the same seconds and minutes you count in your daily life, just extended beyond all comprehension. Fact 88 asterisk, this is perhaps the strangest thing about the universe's ending. It's both inevitable and impossibly distant, both certain, if our physics is correct, and essentially irrelevant to anything any being will ever experience. Fact 89 asterisk, by the time the universe approaches its final state, everything we know will have been transformed countless times. New galaxies will have formed and died. New stars will have been born and extinguished. New planets, new civilizations, new forms of life we can't imagine, all will have risen and fallen, over and over, trillions upon trillions of times. Fact 90 asterisk, if consciousness survives in any form until the late universe, it will be so different from human consciousness that we couldn't even recognize it as thought. Beings adapted to a cold, dark universe might process time differently, think differently, exist differently than anything we can conceive. As you rest now, let these impossible timescales wash away any sense of urgency. There's no hurry in the universe, no rush. Everything unfolds in its own time, at its own pace, and that pace is so slow, so gradual, that individual moments barely matter against the vast sweep of cosmic time. Your own life is the opposite, brief, urgent, full of things that need to be done. But right now, in this moment, you can let go of that urgency. You can slow down to cosmic speed, where billions of years pass and nothing much changes, where time stretches out so long that today and tomorrow blur together into the same instant. Let yourself exist in cosmic time for a while. Let your problems fade into the distance, becoming as small and irrelevant as they truly are against the backdrop of eternity. Let your breathing slow to the pace of galaxies rotating. Let your heartbeat match the rhythm of stars being born and dying. You're tiny and brief, yes, but you're part of something vast and ongoing. And right now, your part is to rest, to sleep, to let consciousness dissolve temporarily into the darkness, knowing that you'll return in the morning, refreshed and ready for your next brief moment in the long, slow story of the universe. Hashtag part 6, the beauty of endings. Fact 91 asterisk, there's a strange beauty in thinking about the universe's end, not morbid or depressing, but peaceful and accepting. The universe had a beginning. It has a middle, and it will have an ending. This is natural, the way of all things. Fact 92 asterisk, nothing lasts forever. Stars die, galaxies fade, even black holes evaporate. The universe itself, vast and ancient as it is temporary. Everything that exists will eventually cease to exist, at least in its current form. Fact 93 asterisk, this impermanence applies to everything. Planets, suns, galaxies, but also people, civilizations, species, ideas, languages, cultures. Everything is temporary. Everything changes. Everything eventually ends. Fact 94 asterisk, Buddhism teaches that understanding impermanence leads to peace. When you truly accept that nothing lasts forever, you can appreciate what exists now without clinging to it, knowing that change is inevitable and that endings are natural. Fact 95 asterisk, the universe's ending, whatever form it takes, is the ultimate example of impermanence. Even the cosmos itself is temporary. Even space-time, the stage on which everything happens, had a beginning and will have an ending. Fact 96 asterisk, but impermanence doesn't mean meaninglessness. Your life matters even though it's brief. Civilizations matter even though they fall. Stars matter even though they die. The universe matters even though it will end. Fact 97 asterisk, in fact, endings create meaning. If nothing ever ended, if everything lasted forever, there would be no change, no development, no story. It's the fact that things are temporary that makes them precious, that creates urgency and value. Fact 98 asterisk, the universe's ending won't be witnessed by anyone. Long before heat death or big rip or big crunch, all life will have ceased. All consciousness will have ended. The universe will complete its final chapters alone, with no observers to watch the last stars fade or the last black holes evaporate. Fact 99 asterisk, and perhaps that's fitting. The universe began before consciousness existed to witness it. It will end after consciousness has ceased. The vast bulk of cosmic history, both past and future, unfolds without any observers, without any meaning except the inherent meaning of existing, of being, of following the laws of physics through their inevitable conclusions. Fact 100 asterisk, but the middle part, the part we're in now, this brief era when the universe is old enough to have formed complex structures but young enough to still have stars and planets and life. This is special. This is when the universe becomes aware of itself through conscious beings like us. Fact 101 asterisk, we're part of the universe looking at itself, thinking about itself, wondering about its origins and its fate. Carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, arranged in complex patterns, achieving consciousness, looking up at the stars and recognizing them as ancient relatives. Fact 102 asterisk, in a very real sense, we are the universe. Made from its substance, following its laws, existing within its space and time. When you think about the cosmos is thinking about itself. When you wonder about the universe's ending, the universe is contemplating its own mortality. Fact 103 asterisk, this is the gift of consciousness. The ability to appreciate existence, to find beauty in stars and galaxies, to understand our place in the vast cosmic story, to accept endings without fear, to find peace in impermanence. Fact 104 asterisk, the universe will end, but it's ending beautifully. Not with a bang or a whimper. Well, maybe with one or the other, but according to elegant laws, following patterns we can understand through mathematics and observation, unfolding its destiny in ways that, while sometimes violent, are always natural. Fact 105 asterisk, the heat death is beautiful in its simplicity, its gradual approach to equilibrium, its ultimate peace and stillness. The Big Rip is beautiful in its drama, its complete transformation of matter and space-time. The Big Crunch is beautiful in its symmetry, its return to the beginning, its completion of a cosmic cycle. Fact 106 asterisk, even the speculative endings, vacuum decay, phase transitions, collisions with other universes, have a kind of beauty in their strangeness. They're a reminder that the universe is more complex and surprising than we imagine, full of possibilities we haven't thought of yet. Fact 107 asterisk, and perhaps the universe won't end at all in any final sense. Perhaps it's cyclic, bouncing from Big Bang to Big Crunch and back again, endlessly. Or perhaps our universe is part of a multiverse, and while individual universes end, new ones are constantly being created, an infinite foam of universes bubbling through eternity. Fact 108 asterisk, we don't know. We may never know. The universe's fate is still uncertain, still being studied and debated by cosmologists working out the implications of different theories and observations. Fact 109 asterisk, but we do know this. The universe is here now. Stars are shining. Galaxies are spinning. Planets are orbiting. Life is living. Consciousness is experiencing. Whatever ending eventually comes, it's so far in the future that right now might as well be eternal. Fact 110 asterisk, for practical purposes, for your life, for human civilization, for Earth, for the sun, the universe's ending doesn't matter. It's too far away to affect anything you'll ever experience or anything humanity will ever experience, even if we survive for millions or billions of years. As you drift now, deeper into sleep, let yourself embrace endings without fear. Every day ends. Every experience ends. Every thought ends. And every ending is followed by a new beginning, a new day, a new experience, a new thought. Your consciousness will end tonight when you fall asleep, dissolving into the darkness, and will be reborn tomorrow when you wake. This nightly cycle of ending and beginning is practice for the larger cycle, the final ending that comes at the end of life, and the possibility of whatever might come after. But that's so far away, so irrelevant to this moment. Right now, you're here, alive, conscious, breathing, resting. And the only ending that matters is the gentle ending of this day, the soft transition from waking into sleeping, the natural completion of a cycle that began this morning. Let that ending come. Welcome it. It's not something to fear or resist, but something natural and necessary. The day has been long enough. Your consciousness has been active long enough. It's time to rest, to let things end, to dissolve into sleep knowing that morning will bring renewal, rebirth, a new beginning. The universe will handle its own ending when the time comes. You can let go of any concern for cosmic fate. Your responsibility is smaller and more manageable. To rest tonight, to wake tomorrow, to live your brief moment fully before your own ending eventually comes. And that's enough. That's everything. Let yourself sleep now, peacefully, accepting endings, trusting in cycles, resting in the deep knowledge that everything that exists will eventually cease to exist, and that this is natural and beautiful and exactly as it should be. Hashtag Part 7. The Mathematical Beauty of Decay. Fact 111 asterisk the end of the universe can be described mathematically, with equations that predict how temperature and density will change over time, how dark energy will affect expansion, how quantum mechanics will cause black holes to evaporate. Fact 112 asterisk these equations are beautiful in their elegance, showing that even cosmic endings follow patterns, obey rules, can be understood through logic and mathematics. The universe doesn't end randomly or chaotically, but according to fundamental laws. Fact 113 asterisk Einstein's equations of general relativity predict how the universe expands or contracts based on its energy content. These equations show that the universe's fate is determined by the balance between matter, radiation, and dark energy. Fact 114 asterisk the equation for Hawking radiation shows exactly how fast black holes evaporate based on their mass, explaining why tiny black holes evaporate quickly while supermassive ones take googles of years. Fact 115 asterisk the second law of thermodynamics, stated mathematically as ds greater than or equal to 0 where S is entropy, shows that entropy must always increase or stay the same, never decrease, which is why the universe approaches maximum entropy in the heat death scenario. Fact 116 asterisk these mathematical descriptions of cosmic endings are predictive. We can calculate exactly when certain events will happen, like when the sun will die, 5 billion years, when the last star will form, 100 trillion years, when black holes will evaporate, 10 to the power of 100 years. Fact 117 asterisk the precision of these predictions is remarkable. Even though we're talking about events trillions of years in the future, we can calculate them with confidence because we understand the underlying physics. Fact 118 asterisk, but there are limits. Our equations break down at singularities, at the moment of the Big Bang, at the moment of the Big Crunch, at the instant of the Big Rip. At these moments, density becomes infinite, temperature becomes infinite, and our mathematical tools stop working. Fact 119 asterisk, this is called the breakdown of physics. It doesn't mean physics is wrong, just that our current theories are incomplete. We need a theory of quantum gravity, a way to describe what happens when quantum mechanics and general relativity both become important at the same scale. Fact 120 asterisk several candidates for quantum gravity exist, string theory, loop quantum gravity, and others. These theories might tell us what happens at singularities, what the true beginning and ending of the universe look like, whether time itself has boundaries or continues infinitely in both directions. As you rest here in the final minutes before sleep, let the mathematical beauty of the universe comfort you. Everything follows patterns. Everything obeys rules. Even endings, even decay, even the slow dissolution of all structure happens according to elegant laws that can be written down, studied, understood. There's order in the chaos, pattern in the randomness, beauty in the equations that describe how everything eventually fades. The universe isn't arbitrary or capricious. It follows its nature, unfolds according to its laws, approaches its ending, whatever form that takes, in ways that, while perhaps melancholy, are also deeply logical and even beautiful. Your own life follows patterns too. Biological patterns, psychological patterns, the rhythms of waking and sleeping, growth and decay, energy and exhaustion. You're not separate from the cosmic order, but part of it, made of atoms that follow the same laws that govern stars and galaxies. And right now, your pattern is trending toward sleep, toward the nightly dissolution of consciousness, toward the temporary ending that precedes tomorrow's beginning. This isn't random or chaotic, but natural, biological, following the circadian rhythms that evolution has refined over millions of years. Trust the pattern. Trust the process. Trust that your body knows how to sleep, that your brain knows how to shut down consciousness, that the laws of biology are as reliable as the laws of physics, carrying you safely through the night toward morning's renewal. Let the mathematics of decay become a lullaby, the elegant equations a bedtime story, the long, slow approach to cosmic equilibrium a metaphor for your own approach to sleep. Everything is trending toward stillness, toward simplicity, toward the quiet darkness where complexity dissolves and only basic patterns remain. You're almost there, almost asleep, almost dissolved into the peaceful darkness. Just a little further, just a little deeper. Let yourself go completely, surrendering to the natural pattern, following the laws that govern rest and sleep and renewal, trusting that morning will come, that you'll wake restored, that the cycle will continue as it always has and always will. Sleep now, deeply, completely, peacefully, and let the universe handle its own ending, its own long, slow fade to cold and darkness, while you rest in the warm embrace of temporary sleep, safe and still and utterly at peace. Infinite silence, the approach to equilibrium, the gentle fade to stillness, the eternal peace of maximum entropy, the beginning of sleep.